Hey guys, this is SDSU playing some more global poker. Hopefully my mic is picking up correctly today, and we're going to be playing just a couple tables of 1-2, so that I could go in a little bit more analysis instead of just commentating on what's happening. So let's go ahead and sit down here and start playing. And I'll just try to go over my train of thought, my ranges, and things like that as I can. It's a little bit more difficult when you're playing than when you're reviewing yourself. So, any sort of suited hand I'm going to be raising up here, heads up. I think my cutoff is like 5-4 offsuit, something along those lines, but it really is player dependent. Um, I could, calling out of position for 3x here. My range is looking something along some suited hands a little bit better than 5 deuce. So that's what my pre-flop ranges are to start off with. I get 3 bet on I think the third hand, and that's interesting. Um, I could call that off again. I really do like to kind of get a bit of better of a feel for my opponent as to what they're doing before I start playing back at them. 6-7 suited here. It's a good hand, a really good flop. I'm just going to go ahead and continuation bet this. As he could have a lot of hands here. I think... Since I'm out of position, I could call this... What are some bad cards for me? An 8's a bad card, a 5's a bad card. He is pretty aggro. I think I'm just gonna call and let him bluff. That's a really good card for me, and I hope he shoves. And he bets two. And I'm not exactly sure. It looks like he has a draw, or was just bluffing. So let's go and bump this up. To jack. And yeah, he has raised about 100% of hands, and that's why I thought he was a little bit more aggressive. Again, I'm making huge generalizations as to what a player is just at the beginning of the match. And that was a great not re-raise on the flop by myself. It's very close. It's not that big of a deal either way, but it was the correct way to play the hand in this certain case. Over aggro. Over aggro calls 3 bets super light. Will re-raise flop big with nothing. So let's just stick with one table for now, so my analysis can be a little bit better. So since we know he's calling off so light, I'm going to be tightening up my 3 betting range now pretty significantly. And that's unfortunate. This guy's sat down because I would really like to play against this SYS or SY guy. I'm trying to think about that hand, that large hand we played earlier. 6-7. You can definitely 3-bet if you want. Um, Continuation bet because he's aggro, pretty small to let him 3-bet, which he did. turn. I was hoping he was going to fire again. He didn't. Um, really kind of seems like he's on a draw at that point in time. Raise it up, and that's how the hand went down. That was my line of thought. You know, if there's other cards that come out, I can't really. It would be a little bit too hard to go over every possible combination. I think an ace would probably be like one of the worst cards because I think he would stop bluffing. A 5 and an 8 are pretty bad cards, and everything else is pretty good. Starting off another session with a fourth hand double up is always a nice way to start a session. Pretty crazy, right? Um, I might open up another table now that we're three-handed, but again, I do want to get some high-level commentary as well as I can fill time with other concepts and how they're playing their hands. So maybe we'll stick to one table. Let's see. He limps this time, which really just doesn't make sense. So let's see what that means in the small blind. I'm guessing it means a pretty awful hand. Flop 2 pair, which is excellent. We're really hoping he has a 10 here. And he has I could raise that, but I think SY is a little bit sporadic and collie. So I want to tighten up a little bit. So what tighten up means is, you know, my original was 5-4 offsuit, heads up on the button. It's looking something along the lines of King Deuce, and then since it's not King Deuce anymore, we're tightening it up. So King Deuce suited, it's obviously a raise, that sort of thing. And it's hard to give you my exact range because it really also depends on flow. It changes dynamically, and you know, um, I'm just trying to, and once it's pretty close to even, it's not that big of a mistake either way. So unfortunately, I don't have a hard set range, but I do try to follow what's going on. This is a clear re-raise here. And I kind of want to go decent size. I could have probably gotten 27. 25 is good to get him out. He'll call is what I'm hoping for. 5 is somehow too big. Okay. But I do like 2 folds as well. Sometimes leads out with 5x. He's really bad. Just tighten up. Play pretty standard against bad people. No reason to get too tricky here. Let them make the mistakes. And again, I talked about it last video, a7, ace8, a6, fairly hard to play out of position. As you know your opponent's a little bit better, you can start playing a little bit looser, but it's really about, you know, figuring out an experience of, do you think this hand is going to be profitable to play? A lot of times it's, you know, I would say don't overestimate yourself and your abilities. So be a little bit more realistic. So like there are optimistic people in this world and there are pessimistic people, right? I am a realist myself. I try to be unbiased, and in order to be unbiased, when I know I like something or I probably value my skills higher than somebody else would, I try to be a little bit more pessimistic so that I can be a little bit more realistic as to reality of how good I am. I realize I'm going to make mistakes, and yeah. So this was an interesting hand here. He kind of potted turn for no reason. Um, King comes, which would have been pretty decent. Let's think about this. Did he have a weird bet sizing on the flop? I think he did. That first hand he played against me when he was bluffing complete air. This is pretty close. I think I might call. He can easily have a queen though. So, oh my god, a fucking set. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And we're gonna go for our little bit of a race ski here. That was unfortunate. I'm always sad to run into a set. Unfortunately, didn't flop anything this time. He is over aggro. We don't really want to poke the ogre. Let's go ahead and check this back again. Unfortunately, we have queen high, and I'm not even going to make a stab at it. Oof, I would have got it through. Okay. Unfortunate. Could have made a stab, but again, I think he's calling very, very, very light. Unfortunate. Just giving all of his money back. Think we'll call this in position. We're a little bit deeper. He's a bad player. I know how he's been playing. He checks this. We're going to be betting probably 2 streets here. I just think he would be leading if he hit there. And that's just a player tendency. Again, tag lag, etc. I think he's leading with a lot of hands if he's hitting. So, I think he's calling a lot on the flop, though, when I do bet there. And, it's just a risk-reward type of thing of how you think the guy's playing. I'm trying to think of the appropriate strategy to play against SY. Obviously, all my attention is focused on SY just because he is the fish here. He is playing more hands. Avigdor seems to be avoiding all my 3-bet squeezes fairly easily, and doesn't seem like too scary of a player. I mean, even when I'm squeezing him, he's insta-folding. He's not even thinking about what else he can do if he wants to 4-bet or anything like that. So, not that big of a tell, but something to note. So, as you... Okay, here. Let's see. We're obviously calling this. Okay. Oh, flopping the nuts. I don't really want to... checked back instantly. That was interesting. Checked back against instantly. I don't really want to get re-raised here. But I think it's a nice happen? God damn it. Could have just checked. We obviously have to call. And that's not a good card. Oh man, I think he was trapping from the beginning. Jacks. I think I have to call. Oh, it's close. Didn't have enough time. It is close though. Could have jacks. He could hit any better ace. I think he was checked back that time because he saw that I bet when he checked back last time. So he checked back quick on the flop, and I think that's what happened there. I could have just checked. So sad, so sad. But you know, sometimes you make the wrong move. If he had like queens or kings and things like that, I think he's gonna have to call because any jacks he has to call. Yeah, I might have made the wrong fold there. It's hard to say. If he bluffed me, that was a very good bluff. 2 insta pots. I thought he might be re-raising. Yeah, I think my ace is a little bit too weak when he's representing a better ace. And he can have a lot of other things too. So, gave all my money back. That's how poker goes. Okay, we're gonna raise Avigdor up here. He seems a little bit more on the passive side. And we're obviously calling this. He's doing that out of the small blind, so I think he's fairly strong here. That's a really good flop for us. Oh my god. Okay, I hope he has... I think I'm calling, but no, that's not fun. Nice. We are somehow the one hand he could have to be ahead. You know, we're flipping with a lot of others. Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to say to that hand. You know, calling there is not that plus EV. If EV at all, plus EV at all. But he literally had the one hand that we were hoping he could have. His range there is obviously ace king, ace queen, queens, kings, aces, any jack, or sorry, yeah, any jack. I mean, he could always have 8-9 or something along those lines. But queen king is definitely one of the hands that he could have, and yeah, somehow we won that hand. And unfortunately, another thing that is not helping my cause is my time bank is running low, and this really does cause you to make much worse decisions. I usually sit out of a table once my time bank is depleted, as I don't like to be rushed, and I'm not as good as other people when I have time restraints on myself. Do I think, but to go back to my question is like, do I think that flop call is good? You know what we're gonna do here? We're gonna pull up the old poker calc, and we're gonna say ace 6 versus, let's say he has, you know, king king And then I think the flop is something like this. So we're not that much of an underdog against a pair since we do have that ace for outs. If he has king queen, we're way ahead, 66. And then worst case scenario, he has something like ace ace or ace jack, which we're way behind. And if he has like 9-10, I think he would have like this though. 55, not too bad. 8-9, we're way ahead. So I think that it's slightly a negative EV call. But I mean, anybody who's gonna spaz like that to shove all in is not that great anyway, so you can factor that in. I mean, there's a ton of different factors there. I think bottom line, my call there is slightly EV. But it's hard to say without knowing the player well enough in order to make the absolute correct decision. King 6, we're folding. As we get later, so cutoff here is like ace 10 offsuit, ace 10 offsuit, ace jack under the gun, ace 10 suited, a lot of ace suiteds is what our range is looking like. And hopefully I don't always have to repeat myself every time I make one of these videos, but that does change dramatically depending how our table looks. I'm trying to think of any other theories that I can kind of go over while we're waiting here of these other hands. One of the things that took me a lot of time to figure out, and is really based off of more experience than just like being taught it, is position. And I think experience is the one thing that really ingrained why position's so crucial. It's just because, say for example, you get 3-bet, okay, and you're out of position, you call. Let's say you get 4-bet and you're out of position and you call, and you're let's say 150 big blinds deep, 200 big blinds deep, something along those lines. Say the reason why it's so bad is because if you have a flop, like say you're slow playing aces or something along those lines, and you call a 4-bet and you're out of position, then he just checks back a lot and gets a lot of free cards. Whereas if he were out of position, he would have to bet into you on a very, very large flop in order to. Oh, I think I want. And you just get an extremely large bet for free, and then you could just shove over the top of that, and you just have to fold. So they don't really know where they're at. Being out of position or being in position almost guarantees you a free card if you want it. So yeah, I think that that's a terrible explanation, and I'm still not the best at explaining why being in position is so good. And I know I've listened to a lot of pros and they've explained it, but the only thing that's really ingrained into me as to why is just my own personal experience running into different situations and saying like, man, if I was in position, this hand would have been much easier to play. He would have gotten this free card off, and so on. So I hope that helps anybody, because the traditional answer that I get for why being in position is so important just didn't resonate with myself. I know my explanation isn't too much better here. So this is a really good flop for us. That is not what I wanted to see, Because if I call and he shoves, I think I... God damn it. I think I have to fold that. Yep. Wow. It was a fold. Because, I mean, what's going to happen here if I call here? He's just going to shove over the top of me. And I have to fold. That was not fun. I wish he would have just checked, and then I would have checked, and then he would have bet, and I would have called. So if you yourself would have called there, I can see why, but you just got to think about, you know, if you do call here, and this guy does have kings, what's gonna happen? You're gonna get screwed, and that is hard to incorporate that into, like, you know, do you have enough cycles in order to be able to process all that? What's most important to be thinking about there? And again, it's really about going going that the cautious route. Okay, so I check back twice. Again, line of reasoning is this guy's a little bit too sporadic for myself. If I had a pocket pair here, I'd be calling, and I mean, let's just, I could be bluffing here, but again, he probably has ace, yeah. He might have even called that, so yeah, he probably calls with an ace there. And I'm playing very, very weak against this guy for a reason. That's not my standard line with anybody. And I am surprised he had ace jack there. And didn't even think about re-raising or anything like that on pre-flop. But it all makes sense. This guy looks like he likes to get it in fairly light as well. Gets it in fairly light. So we're not gonna mess around with him. I think he had 5-7 and then turn river tripped or something like that. Like bottom pair. And he also leads when he has a good hand. So that's also something that leads when he wants to get it into with nothing. LOL. That doesn't make any sense, but I think I'll just let it go. Oh, so we were looking at this. Is there any other hands that he would just be shoving with? 9 queen. 9 queen. 9 queen. Jack. Queen. Yeah. Not the most fun spot, but it is pretty fun when you see the guy has king queen off. Also, position right there would have been huge. So if he would have, with the 8-9 of diamonds, he would have bet if I was in position. He would have called or raised, and I could have made my decision then. So he would have probably called. I would have called, and yeah. Okay. Oh man, I really wish I had a better hand here so I can squeeze them. I'm gonna get some value out of this king here. Hopefully he doesn't have an ace, which I don't think he does. And he just insta-calls with an 8. Okay. So, as I was saying before, that's why I wasn't bluffing him. He's just gonna call my ass way too late, even when I I've shown him I'm not trying to bluff him. This is a good spot, so we're gonna raise this up to 27. Could have gone a little bit bigger. We want to see what this guy was gonna do though. Perfect flop. Let's go to 49. Hopefully somebody has an ace here. Please have an ace, and looks like he does. Or a heart. 28. Ah, so sad. I'm trying to think how I could have played better there. My time bank is just so short. I would have thought way more about it. If he had an ace there, is he ever folding? Yes. If he has a heart draw there, that's good. Is he ever folding? No. And when I say ever, this is just all what I think about the guy based off of how he's played so far. Could I have gotten more value there somehow? I think bigger on the flop and then shoving might have been shown more weakness. So, maybe I should have done that. Hard to say. But I also wanted to size down instead of shoving, just to allow him to call with more hands. So I think I played it fine, actually. I think I played it fine. King 10. This is a little bit loose here. The only guy that really is playing normally is Gawkbox. Chaiwood's kind of garbage. I don't want to really call a 3-bet though with King 10 offsuit against the guy. And that's an obvious fold, thank God. Chaiwood's obviously going to get it in. I think he has like ace, queen, kings. Wow. Okay. Raise with kings. Well, I guess I'll need to make a note of that. But I wonder what his limit to three betting. The worse that people get, the smaller their three bet range normally is, unless they're a maniac who's bad. So even though this guy's terrible, I don't think that he's going to be re-raising or three betting light with a short stack. So we got, I think, 33 minutes of footage so far. I'm probably going to wrap this up. We got 2 buy-ins pretty quickly. Did make maybe some slight mistakes in terms of betting time, but as you can see, that was due to a lack of a time bank and a little bit of unfortunateness being out of position. I think that 9-8 of diamonds, or I know that 9-8 of diamonds was played correctly, even though, we would have hit on the turn, and if we were in position, we would have been able to call there. That ace-6 suited of spades at the beginning of the session was fairly close, even though this guy's pretty passive. When somebody just open shoves on the flop, it doesn't make much sense. So they either got like queens or, I mean, no matter how you think about it, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so I mean, the worst hand I'm calling with there is ace X suited, and he's just behind everything else. So, well, I hope this was educational. Please ask questions, and hopefully, you guys can give me a little bit of feedback on this one table instead of the four table, how you guys like it, going over a little bit more in-depth analysis. And if anybody does want coaching themselves, record yourselves, um, and we can work out a fee, and I'll commentate on your video and just go over how I would be playing it differently, how you can be changing things in your own play, and maybe what you missed in terms of reads on your table. So again, this is SDSU playing on Global Poker, and see you tomorrow.